Hello, art lovers. Thank you for joining us today on 5 Minutes of Art History. Today, we are going to cover some of my favorite things and one of my favorite artists. Favorite things? Ceramics, sculpture, specifically sculpture and ceramics that don't respect boundaries, that play with the idea of installation, the idea of space, and activating spaces, and how spaces can have emotional meanings, how they can have political meanings, how they can have meanings that relate to our entire culture. And artists can use those meanings and those spaces to talk about who we are as people, humans, and as a culture. So, we're going to talk about all these things within the context of the artist Simone Leigh. April of 2022, sculptor Simone Leigh represented the United States at the 59th iteration of the art world's most prestigious exhibition, the Venice Biennale. The artist's work in that exhibition explored notions of beauty, strength, colonialism, and Black womanhood, and she was the first African American woman to represent the United States in the event. Leigh was born in 1967 to Jamaican missionaries and raised in the Hyde Park, Kenwood neighborhood on Chicago's South Side and attended Kenwood High School. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune in 2018, she credited her Chicago upbringing, including graduating from Kenwood Academy, with helping to center her. Experiencing Harold Washington becoming mayor was really significant to me, and growing up in a majority Black community where the bankers were Black and the doctors, the teachers were Black, it was very good for my self-esteem as an American. Jill Meddow, director of the ICA, tells Alex Greenberger from Art News that she can think of no better artist to represent the United States at this moment in time, particularly as countries around the world face a renewed reckoning with racist colonialist histories. What we're seeing right now is an unbelievable explosion in the presentation of the work of African American and diasporic individuals, creative artists, writers, and thinkers, Meddow adds. It is overdue. It is really exciting and critically important, and Simone has been part of this flourishing. It recognizes an artist who has been hard at work making her art and building her art for decades. The decision is based on the importance of her and her idea. Leigh's work begins with research, but ideas also emerge from the physical act of making sculpture, says Eva Rispini, curator and co-commissioner of the pavilion. Her hand is present in all of the stages of making. This is part of what makes her sculpture so powerful. The strong presence of the artist's hand brings to light the fundamental subject matter of the labor of Black women, both physical and intellectual, a labor that has gone often unseen and unacknowledged. Simple clay for her models and stoneware for many of her sculptures. These are Leigh's preferred materials, ancestral, down to earth, and communicative. They are capable of absorbing and rendering all of the artist's emotions, reflections, and feelings in high fidelity. Leigh says she understands her sculpture by the way that she relates it to her own body, and that she finds it very exciting that a young Black child would see her sculpture and relate to it. She says she enjoys working at a larger scale because she has to use her entire body and her entire mind. At this larger scale, her hand becomes a fine tool with the clay. In her sculpture, Leigh merges the human body with the domestic vessels and architectural elements that evoke and acknowledge acts of female labor and care. These works summon the ancient archetype of the nude statue and inflict it with folk traditions from across the African diaspora, and the sculptures then emerge from what the artist calls the process of formal creolization, channeling the cultural fluidity that is the legacy of colonialism. Thank you for joining us today for 5 minutes of art history and exploring the work of Simone Leigh, American sculptor, ceramicist, and hero. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.